Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the importance of philosophy and why it's very important to consider philosophy and ideas in life and to have some sort of explicit framework for thinking about different issues like where are we, how do we know, and what do we do? What should we do about it? So I think most people don't take philosophy or ideas or anything of that sort very seriously in this day and age. You have a lot of people who kind of drift through life. They just say, okay, the things that I know is just self-evident. I'll just look around and it'll be self-evident. And then I'll say, I'll just act based on what other people tell me to do. Like I'll go to college because that's what people do if they want to be successful. Or I'll get a job because that's what people do. Or I'll try to find a relationship because that's what people do. That's what people will do this and it apparently makes them happy, so I'm going to do that too. And they don't really think too much about it. However, this ultimately is not a very good approach to living, as all of your happiness is by chance, all of your knowledge is by chance, and oftentimes when you drift, you drift into unhappiness, or you drift into completely false ideas, which ultimately does not lead to you living a very knowledgeable or happy life. So I'd say if you want to live a knowledgeable and a happy life, you want to think about philosophy. You want to come up with answers to how do I know stuff and what should I do in reality. That's ultimately what philosophy is about. Philosophy is about getting those answers. How do I know what anything is, and then what should I do while I'm here? That's epistemology and ethics, which are two very, very important fields in philosophy. And obviously, before that, you need a metaphysical structure, which is, what is this? You need to know what this reality is before you can begin to figure out, like, how do I have knowledge about it? So, and then once you have knowledge about it, you can just take that knowledge and say, okay, what do I do? What do I do about this knowledge? How should I act? And ultimately, that's what philosophy is: metaphysics, epistemology, ethics. Those are the three big branches. Obviously, you have politics too, but I'm more talking about like the basic level philosophy or how it applies to your life. So I'd say one wants to understand philosophy. That's a very, very important thing, because you can create different methods or an understanding of reality that teaches you like different methods to obtaining knowledge or different methods to achieving happiness, which are two very important things. Because ultimately your goal in life should be happiness, because that's like the end that we all strive towards. That's like the reason we continue to live. That's the reason that we do anything, ultimately, is to be happy, or that should be your reason. So then you want to use epistemology to give you methods of obtaining, because knowledge is necessary if you want to be happy. You have to know what things are in reality and how they affect you, and just to understand like how different things will make you happy. Epistemology is extremely important in that sense. And you want to make sure your principles are true, that you're following to be happy. So then ultimately what thinking about a lot about ideas does is it helps you create different methods for obtaining knowledge and obtaining happiness. That would be your epistemology and your ethics. That's what those methods are. Like your methods of saying, so more specifically in terms of knowledge, it's saying, so here's a claim. How am I going to assess this claim? How am I going to decide whether it's true or false? And once you create a good, strong epistemology, you'll be able to more efficiently do this, and your answers to what is true knowledge and what's false will be a lot more accurate, and you'll come up with them a lot more efficiently if you think a lot about epistemological ideas. And then ethical ideas, it's just creating methods to being happy. You want to understand how to form principles and how you should act in reality, what virtues you should have in order to ultimately obtain happiness in the end, which is the goal of ethics, or is the primary goal of Rand's ethic, which she calls it the purpose of. Yeah, that's basically your purpose. Your standard be life. Since I'll get into Rand's ethics in another video. I could talk about that for a long time, and that is getting away from the essentials of what this video is about. So I will probably save that for another video. But yeah, so you want to create different methods to obtaining happiness. You want to understand what values are going to lead you to happiness, and that's what philosophy is for. Philosophy is extremely important in giving you the proper tools to function in reality, and to tell you how you should act, how you should think about things. And once you do that, your life will become easier. Everything you'll find knowledge through. You'll be able to easily find knowledge rather than just drifting into it as most people do, and you'll be able to find happiness rather than just drifting towards it or following what other people do. So to end this video off, I'm going to read a little bit from Philosophy Who Needs It, Rand's novel about philosophy. That addresses this topic. So I'll just read the very beginning of it because I find the image to be very applicable, and I'll read it. I'll just read it for now. I'll not explain it. Since I'm a fiction writer, let us start with a short story. Suppose that you are an astronaut whose spaceship gets out of control and crashes on an unknown planet. When you regain consciousness and find that you are not hurt badly, the first 3 questions in your mind should be, where am I? How can I discover it? What should I do? You see unfamiliar vegetation outside, and there is air to breathe. The sunlight seems paler than you remember it, and colder. You turn to look at the sky, but stop. You are struck by a sudden feeling. If you don't look, you won't have to know that you are, perhaps, too far from Earth, and no return is possible. So long as you don't know it, you are free to believe what you wish, and you experience a foggy, pleasant, but somehow guilty kind of hope. And you turn to your instruments. They may be damaged. You don't know how seriously, but you stop. Struck by a sudden fear, how can you trust in these instruments? How can you be sure that they won't mislead you? How can you know whether they will work in a different world? You turn away from the instruments. Now you begin to wonder why you have no desire to do anything. It seems to be much safer just to wait for something to turn up somehow. It is better, you tell yourself, not to rock the spaceship. Far in the distance, you see some sort of living creatures approaching. You don't know what they are, or you don't know whether they're human, but they walk on 2 feet. They, you decide, will tell you what to do. You are never heard from again. This is fantasy, you say? You would not act like this and no astronaut ever would? Perhaps not. But this is the way most men live their lives here on Earth. And ultimately, I'd say, if you don't want to, that is a symbol of someone who doesn't take philosophy seriously. And that's a symbol of most people right now in the world. Thank you guys for watching. I think that's all I have to say for today. See you guys in the next video, and peace.